Oh gosh, you won't believe what we've uncovered about Steve Harvey. Behind that $1 million smile and those fancy suits, there's apparently a whole different story brewing.
You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? Is to act like it didn't happen.
Steve's always been cocky. Always. The conversations me, him, Wendy used to have on set, it's the same shit.
I feel like, Eddie Murphy wouldn't be Eddie without Richard.
Well, I think a lot of them try to even look like Richard.
Right.
A lot of them cats, Steve Harvey, Tim Reed, they all try to look like Richard Pryor.
Listen up, because this tea is piping hot. While Steve Harvey might be ruling those morning shows and comedy stages, word on the street is that behind those cameras, Chile. It's a totally different vibe going on.
Steve Harvey. I hear y'all take vacations together on the yacht or something.
Well, we get on the boat with Magic and Cookie. Steve and Marjorie have their own boat.
Oh honey, the drama is real. From super awkward encounters to some absolutely wild demands, celebrities are coming out of the woodwork to spill all the juicy details about their bizarre run-ins with the Family Feud host. And let me tell you, what they're saying is anything but squeaky clean. But what's really got everyone talking? It's Harvey's mysterious connection to Diddy. And we all know Diddy's no stranger to controversy himself. People are starting to wonder if Diddy might be his guilty friend.
It's on you, nephew. Take that top card. When I die, I want my last words to be, I did it.
Here's the $1 million question, darlings. Is Steve Harvey just some misunderstood genius? Or is there something seriously off about how he treats people when those cameras stop rolling? Because, child, these A-list stars have some words about moments that were just weird, uncomfortable, and honestly, downright shocking. This is the Steve nobody's talking about, until now. But hold on to your wigs, because what Katt revealed about his former idol, that's just the appetizer. What he dropped next will have your jaw on the floor. Apparently, Steve Harvey made some kind of deal with Hollywood involving his soul.
Steve Harvey, some stand-up motherfucking man. No, motherfucker, he kissed his old girl who owned TV One. He used to kiss her. That's how he had the rating.
Now let's dive into this piping hot mess. People have been talking for ages about how Katt Williams got blacklisted from the industry. Makes you wonder why he never reached Steve Harvey levels of fame, right? But here's the gag. Katt and Steve have been beefing for over a decade, and honey, there might be more to this story than meets the eye.
Well, to be honest with you, Frankie, I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down, because that ain't how I've ever promoted a show.
Child, let me take you back to December 2008. That's when Katt Williams threw the first punch, calling out Steve Harvey right before a Christmas show. And baby, that beef has been simmering hotter than a summer sidewalk for over a decade. Now, both of these men have had their fair share of drama with other comedians, so this was just another chapter in their ongoing saga. One internet detective wrote, "This is why you should never idolize a celebrity. Their image is all marketing." Another one spilled, "Katt Williams knows what's going on. He reminds me of Dick Gregory telling you things that make you think." But let me tell you how this whole mess started. Katt Williams had the audacity to challenge Steve Harvey, claiming he could snatch that comedy crown right off Steve's head at their New Year's Eve show. And baby, that's when all hell broke loose.
I was on the Steve Harvey show, and Steve Harvey, who is going to call in at 5:45 and get the record straight.
And wouldn't you know it, Jamie Foxx got dragged into this drama too. During his radio show, Jamie played a clip of Katt just dragging Steve Harvey through the mud. Chile, the tension was thick. Katt even had the nerve to apologize in advance, saying, "I want to apologize for what's about to happen, but the second you hit that stage, just know it's your last time as the king of comedy. Water finds its level, playboy. You can't stop it. Hope you got your whole squad of writers ready. 6 or 7 at least."
I've always been on tour with some real monsters, man. I toured with the Kings. I've been on stage with Sid, DL, and Bernie Mac at the same time.
Now everybody knows Steve Harvey presents himself as this devoted family man who puts his loved ones first. But honey, Katt Williams isn't buying what Steve's selling. He's calling him out as a straight-up fraud, saying Steve's been hiding behind this perfectly crafted image for years. And the way Katt talks about Steve's comedy skills? Chile, it's throwing everybody's perception of Harvey's public persona into question.
You have been the king of comedy as long as we've had one. Matter of fact, the whole phrase, king of comedy, can be attributed that you get off stage.
Let me tell you something about Katt Williams. This man isn't just serving up laughs. He's become Hollywood's unofficial whistleblower, spilling all the tea that others are too scared to touch. Baby, when it comes to calling out industry mess, Katt doesn't hold back. And
doing drugs in the ATL, the at least excuse himself, go to the bathroom or some shit.
the tea just keeps getting hotter. According to Katt, Steve Harvey's squeaky clean image is about as real as a $3 bill. Depending on who you ask, Steve's either comedy gold or somebody with more skeletons in his closet than a Halloween store. Katt's even talking about how Steve treats his staff, and Chile, it ain't pretty.
And I could not find a way to walk from the stage to my dressing room, to sit in my makeup chair, to walk from my dressing room to the stage.
Would you believe this memo that got leaked? Steve Harvey wrote, and I quote, "My security team will stop everyone from standing at my door who has the intent to see or speak to me. The audacity," he went on. "I want all the ambushing to stop now. That includes TV staff. You must schedule an appointment." Chile, he was giving full diva demands. But wait, it gets better. "Do not approach me while I'm in the makeup chair unless I ask to speak with you directly." Steve tried to defend this mess later, saying he just needed his personal space. But honey, and speaking of mess, let me tell you about this private jet drama. In November 2015, Steve found himself in hot water faster than a lobster at dinner time. He allegedly bailed on a deal to lease a private jet after $400,000 worth of renovations were already done. We're talking custom carpets, fancy new seats, the works.
According to a private jet company, he did not pay the bill.
This is a fabulous story.
After they customized the hell out of the thing for him.
But hold on to your wigs, because Katt Williams wasn't done. He accused Steve of straight up stealing Mark Curry's whole sitcom concept. Remember Hanging with Mr. Cooper from '92? Katt spilled all the tea. The same Steve that went to watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything. And baby, he didn't stop there. He came for Steve's acting skills too, saying, "You couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asked for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good and looks like Mr. Potato Head." During Club Shay Shay, Katt dropped more bombs than a war movie. He called out Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and Ricky Smiley, saying they were operating like some secret comedy gang. For 30 years, they're a group. These aren't three random guys. All these dudes are co-entwined and they share secrets. And baby, in this age of truth, the tea is scalding. And wouldn't you know it, Ed Lover came through with the receipts. He backed up everything Katt said about Steve Harvey's drama with Bernie Mac. Apparently, Katt was supposed to be one of the kings of comedy after Bernie passed, but chilly? The way Steve treated Bernie? Katt wanted no parts of it. Ed spilled even more tea about Steve trying to snake Bernie's role in Ocean's 11. He said, "Bernie told me that himself." And honey, when Ed says, "I believe Bernie Mac when he said Steve Harvey hated on him," you know it's real.
Nevertheless, Bernie Mac was introduced to the Clone Lab. They take you there. They took him there. They let him see the fights.
Now this is where it gets deep. Bernie Mac started seeing through Hollywood's games and decided to use his platform to tell it like it is. He was out here exposing racism and those tired stereotypes about black folks in entertainment. Baby, he was ready to risk it all for the truth.
Keep in the back, give him some lines, give him this and give him ideas. He did that for 6 months, would not fail.
But chilly, wait until you hear what John Witherspoon had to say. This man dropped a bomb about Steve Harvey's, let's say, special interest in Richard Pryor. The way Witherspoon tells it, Steve's admiration wasn't just about comedy. There might have been something more personal going on.
He'd be there every night. He said, "Spoon, come up here and hang with me." So I go over there with him. And he did his.
The way Witherspoon tells it, Harvey might have been using his celebrity status to get close to Pryor when he was vulnerable. Chile, it's got everybody side-eyeing Steve's public image, wondering if that family man persona is just hiding something darker.
I said, "Y'all trying to be Richard Pryor, all of them." And they got over by it.
Now, in comedy, it's normal to look up to the legends who came before you. But honey, these rumors about Steve Harvey's feelings for Richard Pryor, they're saying it wasn't just admiration, it might have been attraction.
First night, I met Richard Pryor at the ABC Comedy Awards. That was the first, when I met him, when I got through hugging him and we talked, I went behind the bar, I cried for 20 minutes.
Let me break this down for you. People started connecting the dots when an industry insider spilled that Steve was so obsessed with Pryor, he literally tried to become him. John Witherspoon said Steve and some other comedians were out here trying to copy Richard Pryor's whole look. And baby, it was clear as day that Steve had more than just respect for Richard. He was full-on infatuated.
When they find out talk other than no, they got scared to death. You know, like one day somebody said, talk. Well, I've been wanting to tell you something. I beg your pardon?
Speaking of copying, right after Pryor's famous interview about how white folks react to black people's way of talking.
You know how many ways we got to say hello? It'll take us 5-6 pages. Yeah. Hey, now! What up? Hey, look here!
Chile, Steve Harvey comes out with practically the same joke, just wrapped in different paper.
When I first met Richard Pryor, I have the picture of the day I met him. It was at the ABC Comedy Awards in 1995.
Now, Steve tried to play it cool on Instagram, sharing his story about meeting Pryor. This lady said, "Steve, do you know who you're standing in front of? I turned around and it was Richard Pryor." He claims he cried for 20 minutes behind a bar after meeting his hero. But honey, the story gets wilder. Steve shared on his website that Pryor poked him with a butter knife saying, "You just going to stand your ass in my face?"
Everybody, men and women.
Oh yeah, he banged everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, and then it came out he was banging the guy with the big in Cuba.
That's right.
For years, Steve Harvey's been selling us this wholesome, family-friendly image. But Chile, behind that perfect smile and those fancy suits, there's been whispers about controlling behavior and some very interesting Hollywood connections.
TD Jakes have slept with multiple men at Diddy's parties and abroad, and they refer to him as being a power bottom.
And speaking of connections, let me tell you what really had people clutching their pearls. The rumors about Steve allegedly playing matchmaker between his daughter Lori and Diddy after Kim Porter's passing. Chilly. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Word on the street is Steve might have been way more involved than anybody realized. Monique didn't hold back either. She called Steve out for being Hollywood's puppet, saying he cared more about his image than supporting fellow artists. And Wendy Williams? Baby, she spilled some tea about Steve's friendly persona being faker than a $3 bill. But the real gag? When Diddy got arrested in Manhattan, federal agents snatched him up on some serious charges: racketeering, conspiracy, exploitation, the whole 9 yards. This wasn't just any scandal. This shook the entire entertainment world.
Because I'm so quiet, there's been so many stories that have been made up about me. Like I've seen stories about me being like fully in love with somebody and we had like this whole relationship.
So here's the tea, sugar. After all these wild stories about Steve Harvey, one thing's crystal clear. There's way more to this man than that game show host smile. While he's built his empire on charm and laughs, these whispers of drama and controversy paint a whole different picture. From shady dealings with fellow stars to some questionable choices made for fame, it really makes you wonder, just how far would Steve Harvey go to keep his throne? Because Chile, behind that signature smile, there might be a whole other story.